Hello everybody and welcome to the Real Tarot 1123. I hope all of you are doing very well. This is going to be a general tarot reading for my series, which is Movie Star Monday. And I thought a bit about it and I figured, I was actually quite curious to know what the outcome or what the current energy is around with regards to this whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. So I decided to do a reading, and I don't know whose energy is going to pop out, or if it is just the overall energy, or I don't know what. So we'll see. I did get his full name as Johnny Cristopher Depp, Johnny Cristopher Depp 2, born on June 9, 1963, and she is Amber Laura Heard, born on April 22nd, 1986. So he's a Gemini, she's a Taurus, and we have some other planets over here. For him, his second house is popped up, which is Cancer. For her, the second house is Gemini. For him, the ninth house popped up, which is Sagittarius. For her, the fifth house popped up, which is Virgo, and so on and so forth. So we'll just leave it at that, because then it gets too complicated. Like I said, I really don't know like whose energy is going to pop up. I do have a deck of cards that I'm going to use today. These cards also have certain certain cards are associated with certain planetary positions. So I'll just work it. I've already shuffled it, so let's get started. So the first card we have is the Emperor. Okay, and I'm going to lay out the cards and then we'll take it from there. The second card, as we see here, is the Hermit. Then we have the Seven of Cups. Okay, then the Eight of Swords, Two of Pentacles, the Tower card, interesting, and the Prince of Wands, right? Then we have the Fool card, interesting, right? And then so let me move that around. Just looking at the outcome of these cards, I think he's going to be free of this whole situation. I mean, not that he isn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually going to win. So let's see. So the Emperor card, as we know, is an Aries card, and it's all about wanting to be in control, and also, and it could also mean like being a little impulsive also at times, right? That fiery, feisty Aries energy. It's a need to be in control and could be a little impulsive at times. But is that a bad thing? Not really, right? But in some situations, you may say, yeah, that isn't necessarily a conducive type of an energy to have it around you. And the next card, of course, we have the Hermit card. This does talk about, Johnny is, very creative. He wants to be in control of his career, right? And, she's saying he's a bit of a control freak. Like, we don't know, we haven't lived in that relationship, or we haven't participated. Oh, let me rephrase that. We haven't lived in that environment, and neither have we walked in either of their shoes. So we can't say he said, she said. So this card shows that, yeah, there could be a little bit of a control, kind of a wanting to control certain situations type of a thing, and not coming from a purpose, from a place of ego, but more like there is a little bit of insecurity, and because of that insecurity, there is a great need to control so that it overcompensates or overcomes the insecurities, right? So with the Hermit card, it does talk about, him being very honest, doing a lot of introspection, trying to figure out, okay, where did I go wrong? What really happened here? He is like, how come I didn't cut loose earlier? How come I didn't see the signs earlier? Like, almost saying that, I suppose I didn't have the wisdom, although he might have felt at moments that, oh God, this isn't good, but he didn't have the wisdom as to how to extricate himself from the situation. So we can all sit here and say, yeah, it's very easy. All that you do is kick so-and-so out of the house and file for divorce and it's over. But when you are, one of those people, right, I suppose they have to think about a lot of things but there was some self-doubt, a lot of introspection. And also I want to say, it also talks about going through great extent and great lengths to find the wisdom to be able to heal, forgive, and forget, and move on. Okay. And then we have the Seven of Cups. Now here's the interesting thing. The Seven of Cups, this card, it shows Venus in Cancer. So what this talks about is a lot of family strife, obstacles, and a great need for wanting to find warmth and security and the happy family scenario. So he has always had that, right? He's always had that great need to find that, what he knows in his brain to be a very secure family environment around him. Now, a lot of people will say, well, he was married to Vanessa Paradis, or whatever her name is, Miss Paradis, and somebody else, whatever relationships. How come? I don't know. Maybe there's that great need to constantly searching for the ideal and the most perfect, and he might have thought he had it with Vanessa, but it really wasn't. So, but for him, it's that constant pursuit of wanting to have that. Then we have the Eight of Swords. This card talks about is Mercury in Libra. So there is a lot of refined intellectual skills. There's a clear concept of how that skill set could be transferred, how that skill set could be transferred into a business opportunity and therefore make money. So a lot of us can say, yeah, I mean, he's got all this talent, but this, that, and the other. Sure, he does. But then again, how do you manage your talent such that you do projects that are really, from a business perspective, going to be very, very beneficial to you, right? And again, the Eight of Swords again talks about him having a lot of opportunities in terms of utilizing not only his skill sets as an actor, but his writing, publishing, art, that sort of a thing. How to be able to turn all of that into a great business opportunity, or turn that artistic skills in him, besides acting, into business, okay, and to that kind of an opportunity, and to be able to monetize. Then we have the Two of Coins. It is Uranus in Capricorn. Now this talks about organization, reorganization, restructuring, wanting to replace old structures with something new. He is going through this phase in his life where I think this has been like life-changing experience for him, as I would imagine it would for anybody. And he has been giving serious thought and consideration to restructuring, realtering, replacing things that did not work for him in the past, from an emotional perspective, from a relationship perspective, from a business perspective as well. So there's a lot going on in him. Then we have the Tower card, which is Mars energy. Now this Tower card is a very, very powerful card, right? So here's the thing with this card, as we know, is disillusionment, destruction, that sort of a thing. But here it also talks about powerful energy that could be used to destroy something that doesn't behoove you, or put an end to it so you can start afresh, or use that powerful energy to cause destruction. And that causing of destruction could come from a place of aggression also. But then I will also say, whatever it is, when you know something doesn't behoove you, and you want to stop it and start afresh, it also calls for you to have a lot of courage. Now this also does say, from a sexual perspective, he's very passionate, he is very driven, very amorous, very sexual. It does enjoy it, clearly. I mean, clearly, how do I know? And he could be somebody who is not afraid to oh my God, I have to be careful how I say it. Is he a sex fiend? No. Is he a sexaholic? No. But he is not opposed to having that very carnal inclinations, and he does enjoy it. So hopefully he is going to, that's the thing, there's a lot of restructuring that he's going through in his mind and his life, right? And it could have a lot to do with, okay, how do I, he wants to be attracted to somebody, he wants to be not just emotionally attracted, but physically, sexually, mentally, spiritually, all that kind of stuff. So far I would say that there has been a few gaps that he hasn't been able to kind of fill or find satisfaction in, and that's why the relationships fell through, because if they were perfect relationships, he would still be with Vanessa, whoever else he was dating. But now he's also coming to realize that, hey, I am not going to compromise, because I do feel in his past relationships, and again, people are going to come at me, how do you know? I'm just saying what the cards read. Again, let me put in my disclaimer. This is for entertainment purposes only. These are my opinions and my observations. Do your own due diligence and form your own conclusions. Maybe as far as physical compatibility was concerned, he might have felt that there was some sort of a lack there. So now he's like, I'm not just focusing on that, but let's face it, sexual compatibility is a very integral part of any successful relationship, right? So now he's also like looking through every aspect of a relationship and what works for him and what wasn't. So restructuring in terms of, okay, this is my ideal and this is not my ideal. This is what I'm willing to accept. This is not what I'm willing to accept in every way, shape, and form. But he's a very amorous man, very passionate. The thing is, he does love so freely and so passionately that sometimes that could be misconstrued as being pushy. I'd rather see somebody like that than, how there are certain people in life, in relationships, be it man or woman, be it heterosexual relationships or same-sex relationships, where they do the very minimum required in the relationship and just skate on by. I don't know if I could be happy with that, as opposed to somebody who is passionate and who's willing to give 100%, is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, that can go 20 different directions. So people will be like, oh my God, Kirtana, what were you trying to say? Basically that. Okay, then we have this guy, the Prince of Swords. Of course, it is a very, I'm sorry, my dog making all those noises. So this is Sun in Aries and Moon in Cancer. So this is, I'm sorry, Sun in Aries and Moon in Libra. So this is a continuation in terms of, he's a kind of a person who is very undisciplined as far as love and romance is concerned. He is somebody who is in love with love, or, when he loves, it's 100%, right? Again, that could be at times make him come across as being desperate or being, crazy, or oh my God, that sort of a thing. But that's him. That's just him. It's 100% or not. Like, it's like, I'm going to dive in 100% and figure this one out. Like, I'm going to give it all. So for him to meet somebody who accepts it for what it is and not overly analyzes his motives and say, oh, he must have a motive, oh, he must have this, he has come to realize that his past relationships have not, whoever he's had relationships with, have not really understood that he's not like that because he has a hidden agenda. He's like that because he's just like that. That's Mr. Depp. He's just 100% giving. And also this does talk about, he's very undisciplined in that manner, in the sense that, like, when he is in a relationship, there are no boundaries. Let me explain what I'm seeing here. When I say no boundaries, meaning like there should be no boundaries in the relationship. In a committed relationship, the way he sees it, there should be no boundaries, meaning each person gives 100% and nobody judges the other one way or the other. That would be his ideal relationship. But I'm also going to say that he can be a very observant individual too, as far as relationships go. Like, remember this card I said could be controlling, but that's also because there is a certain amount of insecurity. So he tries to overcompensate for that, and therefore ends up being very, want to absolutely micromanage or control. That's the same thing here, okay? Because he may feel that, oh my God, this is going to slip out of my hands or whatever, a little bit of insecurity as far as his relationship is concerned. So he tries to overcompensate by going the other extreme. I'm going to hear a whole bunch of comments. Watch. And then the overall card over here I got is the Fool card, which is a Pluto card, right? This is a very, very interesting card. I do feel bad when I see this card for Mr. Depp, and I'll tell you why. Now, as we know, Pluto is all about regeneration, correct? We know that. Pluto rules Scorpio. Its passion is regeneration. It's having the ability to regenerate. But he also has this great urge to want to constantly regenerate things that might be dying down because of that insecurity, wanting to hang on to something and not willing to let go, because he still has this energy of, oh, we can fix it, we can take care of it, this is just temporary. So it's that level of saying, why don't we forget this and take a giant leap of faith and try to fix it? But the sad part of it is not necessarily everybody is on the same page. And I'll tell you, with this man, he has a great need to be in a relationship. That is his thing, all that name and fame and glory and whatever, he has experienced, and his acting skills, his singing skills or guitar skills, whatever, his painting skills, writing skills, all that said and done, at the end of the day, there is this great need and urge to want to have that ideal relationship. And if you were to ask him, okay, Mr. Depp, tell me what is your ideal, explain to me what ideal means to you as far as a relationship is concerned. Well, he will rattle off a whole bunch of things, but then at the end of the day, if he were really honest with himself, he'll be like, I don't know, I'll see it when I'll know it when I see it. Well, that's a lot of people, right? See, that's another thing as far as he's concerned. There is also this cognizance of knowing that not everything can be ideal in life, idealistic wants and needs and goals and hopes and aspirations. Not everything, you'll be able to achieve, like your idealistic, whatever you have in your mind, thoughts or opinions or whatever it is in life. It may not always be that way. And ideal to me is not necessarily ideal to my ideal is not somebody else's ideal. So I think he also kind of grapples with a little bit of that, and wanting to understand, okay, again, like I said, where do I compromise? Where do I, what's the word? Am I willing to accept a little lesser, or which is ultimately going to break apart, or am I willing to overcompensate and try to overdo things so it kind of balances out? I don't know if I'm even making any sense, y'all. I know I'm going to hear. Then we have the Queen of Pentacles. This talks about Sun in Capricorn and Moon in Cancer. So there is a little bit of paranoia. He's very good at his business, but there is a little bit of paranoia as far as his domestic life is concerned, about his home life, his personal life, that aspect of his life. He's successful, this, that, and the other, all that is fine. He can be very frugal, very economical, very good at investments, all that stuff. But as far as the home front is concerned, there's a little bit of, even though he may love somebody freely, even though he may love somebody like, 100%, could be an ideal match in his head and whatever, there is a certain element of paranoia in terms of, am I being judged? What if this goes south? What if this happens? What if that happens? He's always going to struggle with that as far as his relationship, his private life, his home life is concerned. Then we have Judgment. Very interesting, right? This talks about there will be great periods in his life when he'll go through a lot of introspection, a lot of isolation, struggle, moodiness, wanting to kind of, change things and say, okay, fine, I'm just going to wipe the table clean and I want to start afresh. But that is not coming from a place of having given it a lot of thought and a lot of contemplation and, thinking with clarity and making that decision. That's more from an emotional perspective. And it's almost like I just want to just one swipe and it's done and start afresh. But it's not, again, like I said, it's not coming from a place of great consideration. It's almost like slightly impulsive, like, all right, fine, this has happened, be done with it, let's start all over again. But I don't know how he could, the way I see it, he's not afraid to start afresh, right? And he won't be, except when it comes to his personal intimate relationships, because he is so invested in it and he gets so invested so quickly that he feels he cannot let go of it. And if it goes down the drain, then somehow it affects his sense of self, his sense of confidence. Okay, and he may feel like he has failed as a nurturing provider in the relationship, although we know 2022, right? There's something still a little bit old school about him, where people are going to kind of really be mad at what I'm going to say. I know 2022, right? It's almost like old school, as in he's a very modern man, don't get me wrong, but for him to having that traditional gender roles is also important. And so for somebody like that, it's going to be very difficult to find somebody who also understands and accepts and knows, just because, he is happy being the provider and taking care, etc., traditional gender roles, doesn't mean that I have to give up my own skill sets and my own passion and my own what I can still retain your individuality. So for him to be able to find somebody who can understand what he means by that and understand where he's coming from, it's and willing to, and not just willing to accommodate, but also this individual also thinks in the same way. So I don't know, that could be a big struggle for him in his life. But I wouldn't be surprised if he actually does end up finding somebody and settling down. Is that relationship also going to be successful? I don't know, but it's very interesting though. He is a very, very interesting person, I'll tell you that. Everybody has their own description of what a Renaissance man is and what a modern man is and this and that and all that. Y'all, we can go into that. Prince of Cups, look at this, right? So when we talk about the Prince of Cups, it is Sun in Cancer and Moon in Libra. So he's always going to have that very charming, very delightful, very romantic, that sort of a aura around him. This is how people see him. And he may at times come across as being a little bit distant, but that's his charm. But see, he also is the kind of a person who isn't necessarily confrontational. In fact, he tries to avoid it as much as he can until he's pushed against the wall. But for the most part, he will try to avoid it. And his fame it's a bit contradictory, because his fame has also made him a little self-centered in certain aspects of his life. And can you blame him? Seriously, can you blame him? I mean, with that kind of fame and fortune and accolades and projects that he has done and accomplished, I mean, can you blame this man? Absolutely not. For me, I mean, I don't think anybody else could have played Edward Scissorhands besides him. I don't think anybody, I could never imagine anybody else being Jack Sparrow. You know, there are a lot of roles, I mean, not just in Willy Wonka and those things. There are a lot of roles that I seriously cannot imagine anybody else playing those roles besides him. I mean, so it has made him a little self-centered, but who's perfect 100%? We all have our flaws. We all have egos and that sort of a thing. But it's very interesting that I'm not surprised that that card popped up. And there's also, you know, this whole business has now made him a little bit, he's going to try even harder now to avoid conflict, and he's going to be a little bit more harder to reach, if you will, because he definitely doesn't want to be hurt. This has taken a number on him without a doubt. So let's look at this. We have the Two of Swords, right? Page of Swords, I'm sorry, Two of Wands, Page of Swords, Ten of Wands, Ten of Pentacles, and Two of Wands. Let me look at the planets for this. Let me look at the planets. Give me 1 second. There's something on this card that I really want to see. Because of the coloring here, I can't. I take out my little magnifying glass. I'm sorry, y'all. Two of Wands. I'm sorry. Damn it. Two of Swords. Page of Swords. We have the Ten of Pentacles. Girl, get it together. And then we have the Two of Cups. Uranus in Cancer. We have the Ten of Pentacles, right? Let me see what planets are in the Ten of Pentacles. Saturn in Capricorn, that's isolated power for sure. But he's going to win, y'all. I mean, one way or the other, he's going to come out of this whole situation, like, he'll be fine. And I want to see what planets are with that. Hang on 1 second. King of Wands. Who are you, dude? I'm trying to find the planets for that card. I'm not finding it. So if I don't find it, I'll just move on, you know. Why am I not finding it? No, that isn't that. Hang on 1 second, y'all. I'm trying to find this card. No? Huh, so interesting. I'm trying to find the, there we go, Temperance. Harmony, balance. Okay, never mind that because it's taking me down a rabbit hole. I don't want to do that. So we do have the Two of Swords. Now the Two of Swords, as we say, you know, it always talks about being in a position where you want to compromise or make a decision, right? And that is he's going through a very, very cerebral phase, and is a lot of mental stress. There is no doubting that, a lot of mental stress, and wanting to figure out how, when, where, and what do I do from here. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that he's confused. He's not in any way, shape, or form confused at all. but just trying to like say, okay, this has been a pretty impactful time for him, and his year is going to last with him forever. It's not something you can shrug or kind of walk away from, whatever. But having said that, he is at a spot in his life where he is seriously considering making a decision or not that's going to have, or compromise or make a decision that's going to have a lasting effect on him. Then with the Sagittarius card, there has been a little bit of struggle in terms of finding balance and finding temperance, right? But this is also saying that they have been moments where he's been like, you know what, why should I care? I am who I am. I work so hard. I've accomplished all of this. Why should I worry about temperance? Why should I worry about balance? Why should I worry about finding the happy medium? So there's been a little bit of that conflict over there. But then again, with this Prince of Swords, I'm going to say, if he had his way, he would have resolved the situation in a heartbeat and been done with it. But because if he was not thinking the way he usually does as Johnny Depp, if he had let his head get over his heart, because he's all about the heart. That's the kind of guy he is. Not that he is a dummy or he lets his head rule his heart. But in this particular situation, in case, he wasn't thinking with his head. That's why he ended up staying in that relationship for as long as he did. When he did have the very first time this transpired, he should have said, hey, to heck with it, I'm out of your divorce, bye, see ya, sayonara. But clearly there is that innate need and want to try to salvage a relationship, thinking that, oh, we can erase it and get on better, that sort of a thing. But now he's like, oh, I'm going to have to force myself to think more than I would feel in terms of making decisions regarding intimate relationships. Am I making any sense? Probably completely confusing you. Then we have the Ten of Pentacles. Now, yes, the Ten of Pentacles is all about money and finances and that sort of a thing. See, he has already reached the pinnacle of his career, if you will. I mean, in his mind, right? Because it's the satisfaction he gets from doing what he does, that sort of a thing. Because he's a very creative kind of an energy, right? Now, does he want an Oscar? I'm sure he does. Would he like to? Sure. But having said all of that, would he like to win 10 Oscars? Sure. But he feels at this stage in his life, he doesn't have to prove anything more to himself as far as his career is concerned, because he feels he has already proved it to himself. He's not talking about proving it to the world, proving it to the community, to his fans, to his whatever. Proving to himself that he is an accomplished actor or creator, whatever. He's already done that. But then here you have this Two of Cups. So the Two of Cups for him is all about partnerships. So his focus going forward is not only going to be on his intimate romantic partnerships, but whoever he partners with, regardless of whether it be an intimate relationship, a business partnership, whatever, he is going to be putting a lot of thought and effort and consideration into, is this going to be right for me? Is this going to work for me? And primarily, how best can I protect myself from any possible plausible backlash? So it's very unfortunate though, although I would say he's a bit of a free spirit, it's very unfortunate that somebody like that would be so greatly impacted by this unfortunate situation in life that they would feel forced to change their perspective on almost everything and be somebody else that it isn't natural to them. So basically a heightened sense of self-preservation and protecting himself. Will he be happy doing that? No, but this has certainly taught him a very, very big lesson. And he's not in any way, shape, or form like unintelligent. He's a very smart man. I mean, he sure is. But it's like, how shall I explain it, y'all? When you go through a relationship that has caused so much of trauma, and like generally for us as individuals, we are not I'm not, any celebrity. It's so traumatic. So it shouldn't be any different regardless of whether you're a celebrity or a multi-gazillionaire or just a regular person. Relationships can be very difficult, and when you go through situations like that, it can be very, very traumatic, because remember, at the end of the day, before he is Johnny Depp the actor, is Johnny Depp the man, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, this is definitely going to leave a big scar on him. But I do believe he will go on to have relationships, but albeit a little bit more careful and hesitant in terms of how easily he's going to give of himself. All right, I'm just going to leave it at this, because this is going to go on at 20 different directions. I actually will be super, super surprised if the case doesn't go in his favor. I'll be really surprised. I do believe it's going to be in his favor. But like I said in one of the readings I did earlier, and I think it wasn't like focused on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but I had done, I think, a live stream, and I had briefly pulled some cards for them. For him, when he decided to file this case of defamation or whatever, it wasn't so much a question of, yeah, I mean, sure, defamation, but for him it was like, it's not about winning, it's just about proving a point, telling his version, okay, letting everybody see both sides of the coin, if you will, because they had only been seeing her side. Now that's the main intention and goal. So for him, that's what this is all about. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know in the comment section what you think of this, and please give me a thumbs up. I'm sorry my energy is a little low today because I've had a really, really busy day, and hit the bell icon. And for those of you who are my subscribers, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. And for those of you who are just visiting for the very first time, thank you so much. I hope you decide to stay and become a member of the Real Family. Hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post videos, and do give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate you all. Thank you so very much. And if you're wanting a personal reading, please do get in touch with me. My email address and my website is in the description box. Thank you so much. Bye.